What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I am going to be reading the best book that I have currently on my TBR and the worst book that I have on my TBR. So this is all going by ratings from Goodreads, and I'm curious how it's gonna go. So we all know that like getting book recommendations is so hard because everyone has different opinions, different views. Somebody might like a book and you know the other person might hate it. Like my favorite might be your worst book ever, you know what I mean? And so Likewise makes that really easy. Likewise is a free app that you can download on your phone. It's like the best place to find book, TV, movie recommendations, even podcast recommendations. I feel like it just works so well because it's powered by a smart technology plus also people's personal opinions. So you're getting like best of both worlds. What I really like about it is that it curates like your interests. So for instance, if I recently watched Squid Games on Netflix, it will pop up with shows that are very similar so I can find something that really vibes for me. You can also create lists on Likewise. So you can be like, oh, TV shows I want to get to, or books I want to get to, or podcasts that I recently listened to and I loved. I specifically really like using Likewise for the movies and the TV show recommendations because I feel like that's always the hardest to find. I'm in so many like book clubs, book groups, like surrounded by book people. So I feel like with books, I do get pretty good recommendations, or I know that like maybe my tastes don't align with someone else. But with movies and TV shows, I feel like there is just so much offered. And I love Likewise because it actually has lists for like coming out on Netflix in November or leaving Netflix in November. It has it for Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, HBO Max. Like there's so many. And I love that it shows you exactly what's offered, exactly what's leaving, exactly what will fit with your tastes. It's amazing, guys. You really need to try it out. Okay, I'm just gonna show you an example. I just finished watching a show on Hulu called Cruel Summer, and it is so incredibly good. I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna go into the app and I just searched Cruel Summer. I'm going to say that I definitely liked it. Give it a thumbs up because I really want more shows like that to be like recommended to me. I'm also going to add a new list because I started a want to watch list and now I'm going to create a like TV shows and movies I loved list, just so that way I can go back and like see what I've already watched. I'm going to say like items. This is a list of items that I liked. And then you could always like make it, you know, private and stuff. So create that. So now I have 2 lists on there if you want to go follow me, and then you can always see what I'm watching. This is also a great place to keep track of everything that people have recommended to me. So I know some of my friends have asked me to watch The Teacher. I think that's on Hulu. Yes, it's a drama. So I'm gonna go ahead and add to my want to watch. And then also, I think there's a LuLaRich, that's what it is. Okay, I'm gonna save that also, add it to my list of want to watch, because I know I gotta watch that. See, that's how easy it is, okay? If you also wanna get incredible recommendations and support my channel in the process, you can click the link down in the description box and download the Likewise app and get started. Remember, it's totally free and it's literally just going to help you with all of your recommendations. I mean, you're welcome in advance. Okay, let's talk about the 2 books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. So we have the highest rated book that is currently on my TBR. Now how I figured that out is I just went on to Goodreads and I sorted my want to read out by the highest rating that was on there. So I did not count any of the nonfiction memoirs that popped up just because a lot of those do get really high ratings just because a lot of people feel, you know, I don't know, sad and they don't want to rate something low that's someone's true story. So I felt like I should definitely pick a fiction book for this video. So the book that was the highest rated is After the Fire by Will Hill. This book has a rating of 4.32. That's the average rating on Goodreads, which is pretty high. I mean, obviously there are books that are higher than that, but like I said, they were some nonfiction memoirs that I have, and they weren't that much higher. I think they were in like the 4.4 category. So this one is the highest rated on my TBR, and it is a cult book. You all know that I love cult books. I believe that this is a young adult thriller book cult book about this girl who, it goes from like before and then to after. It says, before she lived inside the fence with her family, after she's trapped now in a federal facility. Before she was never allowed to leave the property, never allowed to talk to outsiders, never allowed to speak her mind. After, there are too many people asking questions, wanting to know what happened to her, trying to find out who she really is. I love cult books. I really hope that I like this. It is super big though. It's like almost 500 pages. So that is the highest rated book. Then the lowest rated book on my TBR is The Loop by Jeremy Robert Johnson. This one is rated an average of 3.44 on Goodreads, which also, I mean, that isn't that bad, but I tend to not really read like people's recommendations that are 3 stars and below. So when people read like a thriller or whatever it would be, and they're like, yeah, this was like good, it was 3 stars. I'm like, nope, not reading it. Unless it has like a trope or a theme or something that I think will work for me, then I might include it. But a lot of times, like, I am really only gravitating to like 4 and 5 star books that I do think align with my tastes, just because I am very picky and a very unpopular reader. So this is an actual end of the world apocalyptic book, I believe. It says Stranger Things meets World War Z. This is a conspiracy thriller set in a sleepy tourist town in the Pacific Northwest that also happens to be home to a biotech firm. When Turner Falls is ravaged by an inexplicable outbreak that causes the infected to become overcome by fits of rage, a group of local misfits struggles to survive the night and expose the corporate corruption that destroyed their home. So this one sounds also really good. Like, both of these sound pretty good. So this is the lowest rated, and After the Fire is the highest rated. So I'm curious to see, what do you all think I'm going to think? Do you think I'm going to agree with those ratings? Do you think it's gonna be the opposite? Do you think I'm not gonna like any of them? Maybe I'll love both. That doesn't happen. I like never love both. Anyway, let's get into reading. Hello, good morning, well, afternoonish. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I was getting some computer work and stuff done this morning, and now I have about an hour and a half before I have to go to work. So I'm gonna continue reading After the Fire. Yesterday, I was listening to it while I was at work, and I got about 62 pages in. I think that's like 10% on the audiobook. This is a pretty large book. I mean, look how big it is. It is over 400 pages, like 448. Why did I pick such a long book? So yeah, I'm hoping to not take too long, but I have just been working a lot. We've been having to work overtime and 6 days a week and stuff. So I am trying to get in as much reading as I can at work and in between work, as long as, like, you know, I'm still keeping up with my YouTube videos and stuff. This, I should have mentioned, this is actually, I think, a young adult book. This is by Source Books Fire, which is a young adult like publishing company. And so far we have our main character. I actually don't know if she even has a name, but it keeps switching back and forth between before and after. So like before the whole fire stuff and after the fire, hence the title. But this, I believe it's a girl. She has been living in a cult for years, and that cult is not allowed to talk to outsiders, like with a capital O. But she is now in this like federal facility, and this doctor is talking with her. He is like a specialist in like child therapy and like children that obviously like have trauma or have, you know, like had really bad childhoods and things like that. So he is currently talking with her and trying to get some information, but then it'll flash back and we see kind of the way she lived like in this cult. So there's this like prophecy father figure of some sort that is like the main guy, and like you can't do anything if he doesn't want you to, and they have like very specific rules that she's slightly mentioned. But I guess we're going to see like what happens. A lot of people got killed And so out of like, I don't know, 80 or 90 people, I think only they said like 18 of them were left, and she calls them all her brothers and sisters, like with a capital B, capital S. So there's obviously some cult stuff happening in here, but it's also very mysterious and I don't really know what's happening. You know, a lot of things are hinted at so far, but not actually given to us. I wouldn't say it's like the most intriguing book to read at the moment. But it's also not like incredibly boring because of it being cult themed. So I'm gonna continue reading for a bit, and I will hopefully be able to update you before I go to work, and then maybe I can update you this evening after I am reading a bunch. I might even request to wash the dishes or do the floors so that way I can like really hone in on the audiobook, because this girl gotta get some reading done. Hello. So yeah, it's another day. I am currently 110 pages into After the Fire. It has been slow going. I mean, number one, I've been working a lot still. I actually have to open and close. Tomorrow's Saturday, so I have to open and close Saturday and Sunday. So I have no clue how much reading I'm actually gonna get done. Yesterday I was off, and so I didn't do any reading either because Alvin and I had our IVF appointment yesterday, and so we had to drive. I mean, it's like an hour and 15 minutes away, the clinic. We drove over there. We got some blood tests done because, so the timeline here, like, let me just tell you a little bit about the IVF appointment that we had. I was hoping that they would be able to like let us start soon, but it's probably not going to be like that. So first we have to wait 2 to 4 weeks for our insurance to, you know, say, okay, you know, you're good to go. We're accepting it. And then the insurance usually requires us to get retested again. So we did get some of our blood tests done yesterday. I'm actually waiting for my current cycle to start, so that way I can get some blood tests done on certain days of my cycle. And then I'll still have to go in for, they have to put like a saline solution through my uterus again, and do like a fake transfer just to make sure that we're all going to be set up. After that happens, then we'll actually be able to start the process. But the problem is my next cycle would probably be right at the beginning of December, and they close the clinic for 2 weeks, where they have to do like this like deep cleaning. They do it once a year, they said, and that's like at the end of December for 2 weeks. And so if my cycle just does not fall into like the correct place, then we're going to have to just wait until after all their cleaning is done. So that would be like January 1st, or whenever my cycle would start in January. So that, once my cycle would start, it would take 4 weeks for like the injections and the egg retrieval. But then after that, they would freeze our embryos because there's a higher chance of success. And so then we would actually be waiting even longer, and then I would have to retake injections in order to get my body ready again. So that's another 6 weeks of that. And then it's a 2-week wait, obviously, to find out if you're pregnant. So the total process, like for when we actually get to like start, which in my head I'm thinking probably January 1st, is a 12-week process. So I probably won't even find out like whether I'm pregnant or not until like, I don't know, February or March. I mean, I guess at least we have some answers. They're supposed to call me this week for all of the financial costs to let me know after they talk to my insurance company. So I am excited to hear about that. Also scared of how much it's going to be. And then the IVF nurse will call me to see if my cycle will be able to fit in like between their schedule, or if we'll just have to wait. So that is currently what's been going on. I'm about to head up to work. I have to work from 10:30 to 7 today. I did read a little bit more this morning, but I mean, it's just like, it's just going back and forth between like part of her life, like in the cult with this like prophet. And I mean, it did say something about like forms of punishment, was like, you know, maybe they locked you in a box for like 100 hours. That one was pretty crazy. But then she said the worst punishment she ever had was that she had to do a 3-day fast. So this cult definitely like is, I mean, it's fictional, but I don't know, it's just like very slow going. Definitely not my favorite. I don't think that I'm going to rate this book very high, even though, I mean, I am only, you know, 100 pages in, and it's like almost a 500-page book, but I feel like it could definitely be shorter. Okay, good morning. I am at work. Today is a really long day that I have to work. I have to work a 13-hour shift today and tomorrow, so yeah. I'm gonna try and listen to my audiobook more today. I actually was able to listen up into 60% yesterday, so that was good, but I am not liking the book at all. Like, nothing is happening. It is a lot of dialogue back and forth just between, the girl's name is like Moonbeam, so it's like between Moonbeam and then like the psychology or therapist like person. They're just like trying to get more information from her, but then like the before and after, like I don't know, I'm not really liking the way that it's set up between like, oh, we flip back to the before and then we flip forward to the after, and it just feels like very choppy. So I feel like I am not getting like the full story correctly, but then also I just don't really care about the story. I definitely feel like this is not, like I could definitely DNF this book and not even care. So it is not gonna be highly rated for me, I'm just saying. I just got home. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. I ended up working a really long shift. I work really long today. That's finished, obviously, and then tomorrow. I worked from 10 in the morning until 11 at night, and my boss and my supervisor, we all decided to go out to a brewery to just get a after work drink, because obviously it's the day before Halloween. That was super fun. I took a picture to send to my husband. I'll pop it up here for you guys, but it was like really nice. Like they had all these like twinkle lights and stuff. I should have gotten some video footage, but I didn't. But it's called Devil's Backbone. They're pretty local, but I think that they did start maybe putting things everywhere else, but that's where I was. and I had something called, like, it's called an orange smash, but it's vodka and orange juice, and they're able to like sell it there because they actually are like a distillery too. So it was very good. We had two, or I had two. We all got 2 drinks. Very good. I had my boss drive me home though because I do not drink and drive. But I wanted to update you all because I actually listened to a fairly large portion of the book so far, and I think I'm almost finished. I am 93% through After the Fire, which is really great because I think I'll be able to finish it tomorrow morning when I'm setting up for work, and then I'll be able to start the second book, I think, tomorrow. So I'm not disliking it as much as I was. I was gonna rate it like 1 or 2 stars there for a second. Right now it's hovering at like a 2 to 3 star. It definitely got a lot more interesting, I would say, after the 60% mark, which is like kind of when I updated you all. So all of what I listened to today at work was actually like fairly interesting. And I think that I think the book is just too long. I think that if they would have cut out the first, half, it would have been a pretty good book in my opinion. Main character, as of this moment, I do not remember her name because it's like a weird name, but I know I said it earlier. Anyway, so it still is flip-flopping between before and after, before the fire and after the fire, which we do find out like kind of what that means, because I was like so confused for like the first 60% of the book because you didn't actually know what that meant. Like, you knew that obviously like a bunch of people were dead, but it ends up turning out to be like, and I don't think this is a spoiler, I think that this is like smart to know before you're going into the book, but it turns out like the government kind of intruded this compound cult thing and ended up like shooting people, and a lot of things happened, so that is why like it's called that. But anyway, so our main character, she grew up in the cult like her whole life, but the cult had changed leaders. So when the new leader came about, things got worse. There was something called like the Purge, and he like put up like taller gates and like all of these like extra rules and crazy amounts of rules, and a lot of people like, well, not a lot of people, I guess I should say like some people didn't want to follow him, but he is like a psychopath, like he is crazy. So that is the current the current leader. His name is Father something, I can't remember at the moment, but anyway, they have these like people called like centurions, and they're the ones that like make sure people stay in order, and like everything that's done is like under the Lord. So if he marries like a bunch of people, and if you like disobey, like he's like, oh, you're disobeying the Lord, like I get these instructions from the Lord and stuff. But our main character, like in the after part, like she's talking to like a child therapist and then also an agent, and they're trying to piece the story together. So the whole book, you're also trying to piece the story together. But it didn't get interesting until like the 60% mark because we learned something about her mom, and that's kind of when I actually got interested in the story. The whole first half I was not interested in. I felt like it was so much dialogue, so character driven, whereas once we find out about her mom, then the second half is a lot more plot driven, and that is the type of reader I am. So I could see how people would like this book if they like more like fantasy character driven type stories, but since I am more of a like thriller plot driven reader, that first half was just so boring. So I'm interested to see, because like I feel like the only way that this book can end is like just knowing the whole story. It's not like there's like I guess there's kind of a mystery involved, but at the moment I feel like I know all of the mysteries, so I feel like what is the end of the book gonna be? I don't even know. I still feel like it's probably gonna be like a 2-star, because I don't think I would ever like recommend this to anybody, It's definitely not. I do not think it should be the highest rated book on my TBR. That is for sure. But I am going to head to bed because I have to work another really long 13-hour shift tomorrow. And then thankfully on Monday I close, like 3 to close. And then I'm off Tuesday, Wednesday. I get 2 days off this week, which I am so excited about. Okay, good morning. Yesterday was Halloween and I'm pretty sure, I don't think I filmed it all yesterday because I had a 13-hour shift at my job. I did end up finishing After the Fire, and I did start the new book, The Loop, which I will talk about both of those. But I opened this box. It has tea in it from a tea company that had reached out to me. Well, it's like a very small self-owned company, and I wanted to show you all like what's in it. And I'm going to try some, I think, this morning. Okay, so this is from Plum Deluxe Tea. So she has like directions on how to do it. And yeah, plumdeluxetea.com. So she sent me, she had reached out to me and she asked like what flavors I like, and I really like black tea, so that's what she sent me. There's Porch Sippin' Pecan Black Tea. That sounds amazing. Then there's Comfort Blend Black Tea. This has cinnamon and orange ginger clove. Oh, that sounds amazing. Sorry, the pecan one has cinnamon, pecan, and safflower. Then we have Reading Nook Blend Black Tea. This one has black tea, rosebuds, lavender, chamomile. Yeah, that looks awesome. And then she sent me, I gotta open that. Then there's this little one. This I think is Earl Grey. Yeah, creme brulee, gray black tea. That sounds amazing. It has black tea, orange peel, jasmine, cornflower, bergamot, vanilla. That sounds good. Okay, let me open this. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Oh my gosh, she sent me a little heart tea thing. Okay, let's try these out. Okay, this Reading Nook one smells so good and it looks so beautiful too. Look at that. That looks beautiful. Okay, I'm brewing that and we're gonna see what it tastes like. Let's just forget about all the noise. I have the microwave going and I'm making a big pot of soup because my husband isn't feeling well at the moment. This tea is absolutely delicious. I am going to be ordering more tea from her company because it is so good. Even Alvin really likes it, and so that is a plus. Oh my gosh, it's really delicious. I'm gonna have to go on the site and see what more she has offered. But let's talk about me finishing within the fire, something like that, After the Fire, I think. And then also so far my thoughts on The Loop. So I finished After the Fire by Will Hill, and I am going to rate it 2 stars. I think my main problem with this book is that it is double the amount it needs to be. A lot of what I enjoyed about the book only happened after the 60% mark. The first whole half is drug out so much, and because it's written so choppily with the before and the after, you're not really understanding what's happening and you don't really know what's going on. So I feel like I couldn't appreciate Moonbeam's like dialogue and just her telling, you know, like the agent and the doctor about what life was like because of that. My soup was boiling over. Even though this book is about a cult and it is a fictional story, I did learn that this book was kind of based off of the Waco siege in like 1993. I actually don't really know much about that. I know that there's a show on Netflix, I think, called Waco, which I think might be the same thing because I know that that show is about a cult. But I think that I like cult stories that are actually nonfiction books. I think that it has a more shocking factor to me when I'm reading like those types of really dark things, and they're nonfiction. This one, there were dark things in it, obviously. A lot of torture, you know, young girls having to marry like the old messiah-ish father guy. So like there are dark things, but because this is a young adult book, it just doesn't take that extra step of darkness that I need it to take, you know? And I think because I've read like actual real life cult books, this just doesn't measure up to it. You know, it was too long, it was boring. Most of it was dialogue and it wasn't really action packed. And like the disturbing parts weren't even dark enough to be that interesting. So that's my problem that I have with it. It seems like on Goodreads, a lot of the people that really love it, they love Moonbeam's character. They love how she tells the story. They love how the story unfolds. And I think that they're all character driven readers, and that if you do read probably like young adult or fantasy novels, you probably would like this, especially if it was your first cult book. You would probably be like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like. I do like that it shows how like, you know, it happens so much where just a community blindly follows somebody. And this does portray that a lot. But other than that, this was not a win for me. Hello, it is a different day. I finally have off today. I was doing a bunch of errands and stuff, but I'm about to start reading The Loop. I'm making a pot of tea. But yeah, I'm gonna read The Loop. I'm probably gonna play a little bit of Animal Crossing while I listen to it, because I wanna make sure I'm getting in some self-care, because I've just been so busy working so much, and I hate when like I finally have days off, but I have so many other things to do, like filming and editing and, you know, errands and cleaning and laundry, and then I end up like not actually relaxing. So I'm going to listen to my book, play some Animal Crossing, and I'll update you once I have some thoughts. Okay, it is 5:30. My husband is on his way home from work, and I've just been playing Animal Crossing, reading. I have my fire going. I am 43%. It's going fast actually. Like, I'm surprised that I'm already 43%, but I feel like even though it's gone fast, there hasn't really been anything happening in the book. I feel like I say this a lot in books, but let me break it down for you all. So for instance, I'm gonna tell you about like a show that this kind of like reminds me of, or I realize that I am this type of person. So my husband and I, we love watching Survivor, and also like The Walking Dead and stuff. Like I used to love The Walking Dead. But in shows, like for instance in Survivor, they have, you know, a lot of the drama and the games and, you know, the strategy and all that, and I love watching that part. I get so bored and I lose interest so fast when they start diving into people's like backstories, and the people start crying on camera, and, you know, they start saying why they think they deserve to win, and, you know, like it'll do like, you know, the slow music, and it'll show their family and stuff like that. And I'm like, I really don't care. Like, I'm just here for the action. I'm just here for the plot twists. I'm just here for that. I feel like The Walking Dead also did that, where like, you know, there were some seasons that were great, that they were like, you know, crazy things were happening. There was a lot of plot. And then there are like so many episodes or so many seasons where it's just like the dialogue, like the characters talking, and all they do is talk, and like I don't care about anything that they're saying. So that's how I feel a lot about certain books. And I did a little bit of research for The Loop, and people say that it is a young adult book, but they also say it's not a young adult book, and I'll tell you like why in a second. But it's supposed to be, you know, kind of like Stranger Things and kind of like World War Z, which is like a zombie book, video, whatever. I think it's both a book and a movie. So the Stranger Things aspect, I think, is because it's 3 high school students, Lucy, Brewer, and Bucket. Anyway, so they are 3 high school students. They are kind of, you know, dabbling together in this end of the world apocalyptic thing. So they're friends and they're kind of like, you know, just going on little journeys. I mean, this book seems to be happening within like a very small time period, which I also think I don't really like because of Hairpin Bridge. They were in school and this like fight breaks out because whatever is turning people into zombies like makes them have this like crazy sort of rage. So that happened like in the very first part of the book. There's also like a podcast element that's in this book. So if you like podcast elements, you might also like that. I feel like there's like a lot going on, but not really anything happening. A lot of the story that I've listened to so far is like they kind of were like going adventuring and you know, they kind of see like the zombie people, but they're not really like quite zombies yet. They're like still kind of humans. You know, it's not really like explaining very much, and there's just so much dialogue because I guess the author is trying to make like Lucy, Brewer, and Bucket like seem like such a good friend group. So it's so much dialogue of like them talking as friends that I feel like nothing else is really happening. And I don't like that because it reminds me of like, okay, watching Survivor and it's just constant talking instead of like actual like doing stuff. So, oh, and the other part is about the young adult part. There was a lot of talking about like the guys. They were talking about like guys in school and stuff. They were talking kind of in front of Lucy or to Lucy, but they kept saying like the P word and talking about like having sex, but they were using like the F word and stuff. So for like a young adult, I definitely wouldn't have my children read this book because it was very, very inappropriate, I think, for like a young adult reader. Yeah, I can't believe I'm at the 50-page mark, and I feel like, you know, I thought there was gonna be like some zombie chases and, you know, some crazy stuff happening, but maybe I just haven't gotten to that yet. I think there's a part 2 coming up, so maybe that will be a bit better. Okay, so I've been listening to The Loop. I am 78% in it, and I'm gonna DNF it. I do not like this book. Even though I'm DNFing it, I'm still going to be rating it on Goodreads because of the fact that I made it so far in it, and I will be rating this a 1 star. This is one of the most boring books I have read this year. I can't tell you one thing that I've liked in the whole entire book. Number 1, the author is a white male, and the whole entire perspective of the book is from Lucy, who is actually a Mexican teenage girl. There is a lot of talk about racism and like slurs against her because the town that she lives in is like a very white conservative town. But I feel like we don't actually get to really know Lucy as, I don't know, I guess maybe I just didn't like connect with any of the characters, but I feel like his writing characters, I just don't care about at all. Like there are deaths in here of characters and I don't feel like the characters really even care, and I don't care. So the basics of the story, there was like an experiment gone wrong. They were trying to do something with teenagers, and instead it turns them into these like flesh-eating zombie type things, but not really zombies because like they still look like teenagers, but they like have this enormous amount of like hatred and like want to kill. And we're pretty much just following the characters of this book in this like run for their lives. But like there is like a lot of gore and stuff. There's a lot of like bad words. Like I said before, young adult. Definitely, I do not think this is a young adult book, even though that it is labeled as that. But then also, if you don't like animal deaths or animal cruelty, that is in here too. So you probably don't want to pick up this book. I know a lot of people that read like The Troop. I have not read it yet, but I heard that that has like animal deaths in that, animal torture, and a lot of people I know didn't pick it up because of that, and so this one is the same one. It does have a podcast element for those that like that, but the whole entire book is just from Lucy's point of view. We don't hear from anybody else, and it's also written very like flowery and poetically. If you watched my video of what I don't like in thrillers, I'll put it up here, that is one thing I don't like, and so I can't even remember anything because poetic sentences I don't remember. But even the gore and the violence is like all written very flowery, and like instead of just being like, oh yeah, you know, they bit into her throat, it's like, and the blood rushed down like a river lily into this like sunset of red, and I'm like, no, like you don't need all that extra stuff. I am incredibly bored. Like, I do not care at all about this book. It's really bad in my opinion. So I'm just gonna stop it, because the whole point of this video was for me to read the best book and the worst book, and the worst book is turning out to be really, really bad. So I don't feel like I need to finish the last 20% because I've already wasted a lot of my time on it. But even, it's kind of funny because like even the best book on my TBR wasn't even amazing. Like I gave that 2 stars, I gave this 1 star. And the sad thing is too, is both of the books are both young adult books, and I am not a young adult reader. It's like, why? Out of my whole entire book collection, I probably only have like 4 young adult books on my shelf. So it's pretty crazy that those were both of the books that showed up in these videos. It's also kind of crazy that both of the books are like end of the world, cult-ish, apocalyptic type of things. I don't know. Anyway, I do not recommend this book. I feel like you would only really like it if you're okay with all those factors. If you really like blood and gore, you really like crude talk, sexual assault, animal cruelty, all of that kind of stuff, but then you also like poetic, flowery writing, and you like action scenes but also a lot of character dialogue, that is this book in a little package. That's this book. Those are like all things that I absolutely hate. So that's it for this video. I want to say a big thank you to Likewise for sponsoring this video. I already was adding more things to my list, so again, don't forget to click the link down below in the description box, become friends with me, you can see what I'm watching. I think I'm actually gonna go watch the first episode of The Teacher on Hulu because it sounds amazing and I need to do something that's gonna be way more enjoyable than reading this book. So I will see you all in another video soon. Bye everyone.